Hello and welcome to this tutorial video for Prague 1210 Rapid Application Development. In the previous videos, we've modified our grid view so that we can have control over how this update button works and changed it from an automatic grid view update to a stored procedure update. We're going to do a similar thing with the delete button. So I'll start by changing into item template mode because in this column the delete button appears in read-only mode. We're going to make two changes to the delete button. The first is to create a prompt for the user that when they click the delete button, they get a confirmation message, a little pop-up that says, "Are you sure you want to delete?" In order to do this, we're going to add in a little bit of client-side code. So I'm going to select my delete button, look in the properties window, and find the onClientClick property. In there, we'll just type a little snippet of JavaScript. We'll make this nice and wide so we can see it all. And we're looking to return the value from the confirmation box. So confirm will appear the message box, and the message inside is going to say, "Are you sure you want to delete?" That way the user has an option to cancel and not delete that record. So just a little bit of a check there to make sure. So that's the first step. Put in that confirmation message. The next step is to code how the delete button works. Now if you watched the previous video, we did this with the update button as well. And what we need to do is remove the command name property, because we don't want it to run the grid view's automated delete function. So we have to remove this command name so that we can overwrite and control what the button does without the grid view's delete getting in the way. So I just removed that property, and now we'll create a click event for the delete button by double-clicking it here in Design View. So here's our click event. Now we can borrow a bit of code from the previous example to find out which button was clicked and which row we're working in. So as I scroll up a little bit, you'll see the previous example here that allowed us to find the row index of the row that we selected and the musician ID, that is the ID key value from the row that we've selected. So I'm going to copy these 3 lines of code and just move them down into my delete button's click event. Just as a reminder, the link button called sender is the delete button that we currently clicked. We need to go into that button's row to find out which row we're trying to delete and find its index number. So if there's 15 rows in your grid view and you try to delete the one at the very bottom, your row index is going to be 14 because those indexes start at 0. The musician ID, that is the key value, is found by going to that same index in the data keys array. The previous video talked about how the data keys array matches up to the grid view rows so that a row in grid view has its key at the same index in data keys. In order to delete a musician, all we need is its musician ID. So I can go ahead now and call my stored procedure for musician delete. You can see that there's only one parameter, the musician ID field. And if we want to find out whether or not it was successful, we can capture the result. Because remember that these stored procedures will return an integer based on whether it was successful or not. We can use our feedback label from a previous example to inform the user that the musician was deleted. When we execute this code, we'll attempt to delete someone. I'm going to click on the very last record. Here's our confirmation message, and if we click cancel here, nothing else is going to happen. I'll click delete again and click OK. You can see our musician is deleted, but that record's still appearing in the grid view. Now if I refresh my page, the record's gone. So it was gone from the database, but not gone from the grid view. And the reason why that occurred is because we forgot our final step, which is data binding the grid view. So we just need it to refresh itself and update the display on screen. So once you have that final bit of code in there, you'll have that delete working perfectly.